It was the Japanese that started the whole thing. I mean, it was very sad.
How'd they start the whole thing?
By bombing Pearl Harbor.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
How old were you when they bombed Pearl Harbor?
16.
You were 16 when they bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
Do you remember?
I know exactly. It came over. President Roosevelt came on and announced war with Japan.
Okay.
And why?
And why?
That they were born. That they, yes, that they were bombed Pearl Harbor. And do you know how many? I don't know myself. How many boys got killed in that? And I'm sure people were so against Japanese. And that's why you had to live back in those days. Why make them rich? By buying their products. In school, we used to have air raid warden drills where you had to get out of your seat and back up against your desk and cover your head. But a lot of my boys, my friends, were went and served in the Army. They, not only that, we had 2 twins, and we were all very sad because they quit school and joined it, and they were killed in the war. I was working at a war plant. The plane was called a VOUGHT, V-O-U-G-H-T, Corsair, C-O-R-S-A-I-R. And it was a plane that the wings folded up. And I was working in a war plant wiring radios. And I worked there for many years. I also, at that time, I became an air raid warden in my neighborhood, which I had to stop traffic. A siren would go off, and when that would go off, I would have to stop what I was doing at home and get my whistle. I had to have a whistle. And my flashlight. And first I had to go to the neighborhood, and it was a big area. There aren't any payments. You were walking the streets. They had to turn out their lights, just like people in their homes. They had to put their shades or blinds, whatever they had.
So all the cars
Down.
would turn out their lights, and if they didn't turn
Oh,
out their
they
lights,
would, yeah.
If they didn't turn out their
You
lights,
flashed your
knew.
light, and
Okay.
they knew, because when you're in an automobile, you don't know the sirens going on. At that time, being an air raid warden, you had to be fingerprinted. You had to be really and truly checked out. But I also worked at Bud Manufacturing Company, where they were making airplanes. They were called RB-1s. They were big planes that you'd open the back, and the Jeeps could drive in them.
Why were you safety wiring the airplanes?
To safety wire. There were a lot of, I don't know how to say this, there were a lot of areas on the radio that could be safety wired. And there was maybe 5 or 6 different places that you worked on
Assembly line.
yes, assembly line.
How did people in the United States view the war?
A lot of them were frightened because of the air raids that they were having. Everybody had to do this, not just where I lived, but everyone had to do this. So that kind of makes you scared that this could happen to you, and that we would even, that if we even would think that we could get bombed. That was very, very scary. How would you like to be sitting in your house and not know whether a plane came out and would bomb your house? But you have to understand the country was guarded. You know, they just can't fly all over.
After war was declared, did that really scare you?
Yes, it did. I was really scared because I thought I didn't understand actually what was going on, and I was petrified thinking that people would be over here shooting. So you don't know when you're 16 and you've never come across anything like this, and you know what they did, the Japanese did to Pearl Harbor. You just didn't know what was going to happen where you lived. My husband was in the war. I do not, let me say, it was called psychoneurosis, and it was due to a battle. He had a young man beside him, got killed right beside him, and it blew his mind more. He was very, very, that upset him so badly. Now that word was very, very common in those days. So if you think that's not what he had, that's what they called it in 1945. He came out of the hospital. He lived in England for I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and then he got shipped back to the United States due to his illness.
Did you know a lot of people that were killed in the war?
Yeah, a boy next door, the 2 twins, another one from Wyncote. The thing that crosses my mind about wives and mothers at railroad stations crying, really crying, because their boys were going overseas and they did not know that they would see them again. When the war was over, I was in my living room listening to the radio, and President Roosevelt came on and said the war was over. And I remember him so well. He was a great president.